Let's be real, we've all been there. Staring at a massive spreadsheet or a messy text file, feeling completely lost in a sea of data. It can be so frustrating. Well, today, we're going to change that. We're demystifying Pandas, which is the essential Python tool for turning all that raw, chaotic data into clear, actionable insights. Does this feel familiar? You've got this mountain of information, and you just know there are incredible answers hiding inside, but where do you even start? It's like you're drowning and you can't find your way to the surface. It's a super common feeling, but thankfully there's a really powerful way to deal with it.
And that solution is Pandas. At its heart, it's a free, open-source Python library that was built for one big reason: to bring order to data chaos. The best way to think of it is like your own personal life raft. It gives you the structure you need to stop drowning and start actually navigating your data with total confidence.
Okay, so to really understand how Pandas works its magic, we have to start small. We've got to look at its most basic, fundamental building block, because before we can handle a whole table of data, we first need to understand a single column. And in the world of Pandas, that's called a series.
So what in the world is a series? Now, the technical definition is a one-dimensional labeled array, but honestly, don't worry about the jargon. The absolute simplest way to picture it is just a single column of data. Seriously, if you've ever used Excel or Google Sheets, you already get this concept. It's just one column.
All right, let's make this real. Imagine your data starts out as a plain old Python list. Just a sequence of numbers. There's no real structure here, no context. It's just raw information. Now let's see what happens when we hand this over to Pandas. And boom, here is the magic. Pandas takes that shapeless list and instantly gives it structure. See? It's not just our data anymore. That new column on the left, the one that goes from 0 to 4, that's called the index. It's basically a unique label, like a street address, for every single value. And that little detail is the key to everything we're going to do later on.
So if a series is just one column, what do you call a whole table? Well, that brings us to the other core part of Pandas. While a series is one-dimensional, its bigger, more powerful sibling, the data frame, is two-dimensional. It's the full table, with both rows and columns.
And this, right here, is the main event. This is the data frame. I'm not kidding when I say this is the structure you'll be working with 99% of the time in Pandas. It's where all those individual columns, all those series, come together to tell a much bigger story.
So what exactly is a data frame? Again, let's just forget the technical jargon. Just picture a super smart spreadsheet that lives right inside your Python code. It's got rows, it's got columns, and this is crucial, it can hold all different kinds of data, like text, numbers, dates, all neatly organized in one place.
So how do we actually make one? Well, it often starts with something you already know, a Python dictionary. It's pretty cool how it works. The keys in the dictionary, here it's name and age, they're going to become our column headers. And the lists of values, that's the data that will fill up those columns.
And just like that, Pandas takes our dictionary and turns it into this beautifully organized, easy-to-read table. See? No more messy lists floating around. Now we have a clean data frame with clearly labeled columns and an index for each row.
And this slide right here, this is the big aha moment. This connects everything we've talked about. Just look closely at a single column in this data frame, like the name column. What is it, really? It's a series. And that's the absolute core concept of Pandas. A data frame is just a bunch of series all lined up and sharing the same index. Once that clicks, you've totally unlocked the logic of how Pandas works. Okay, so we get the building blocks now. We've got the series and the data frame. But look, these structures are just containers, right? The real power comes when we use them to start asking questions about our data. So let's put this data frame to work. So let's imagine we have a bigger set of data, with maybe names, ages, and also cities. A really common first question you might ask is, hey, what if I only care about the names and ages? I want to just ignore the city column for now. And with Pandas, doing that is incredibly simple. You literally just tell it the names of the columns you're interested in, and bam, Pandas hands you back a brand new, smaller data frame. Just like that, the city column is gone, and we can really focus in on the relationship between name and age.
Okay, let's ask a slightly more complex question. This is called filtering. We don't want to see everybody in our table. We're only interested in the people who are older than 25. So how would we do that?
And again, Pandas makes this so easy. You can just apply a condition. In this case, age is greater than 25, and it instantly filters the whole table to show you only the rows that match your rule. See? Alice, who's exactly 25, is gone. This is how you start to drill down and find those specific insights you're looking for. And honestly, this is just scratching the surface. Selecting and filtering are huge, but Pandas gives you this massive toolkit of powerful operations. With just a single command, you can get instant statistical summaries, you can sort your entire table by any column you want, or even group similar rows together to calculate totals and averages. It's amazing.
So, we've covered the fundamental building blocks, and we've gotten a little glimpse of what's possible. You should really think of this knowledge as your launchpad. You now have the core skills to really start your journey into data science.
So let's boil it all down. If you remember just one thing from all this, make it this. You only need to master two main ideas: the one-dimensional series and the two-dimensional data frame. Every single powerful function, every complex analysis you'll ever do in Pandas, it's all built on these two simple concepts. Master them, and you are well on your way. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The official documentation says it perfectly. By adding series and data frames to your toolkit, you'll be ready to handle a huge range of data-related tasks. Learning this stuff is a genuinely empowering step forward.
So, what's next? It's simple, really. First, you've got to practice. Find a dataset online about something you love. It could be sports, movies, finance, literally anything, and just start playing with it. And second, explore the official Pandas website. The documentation is fantastic and will show you hundreds of other things you can do.
The leap you take just by learning these basics is absolutely huge. You go from being someone who just kind of looks at data to someone who can structure it, question it, and manipulate it to find real answers. It's a massive, massive level up for your data skills.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Every single dataset has a story just waiting to be told. You now have the fundamental tools to actually listen, to structure the data, to ask it questions, and to reveal its secrets. So the only question left is, what story will you uncover?